Ryan Waters had always dreamed of making it big with his podcast. His show, Echoes of the Unsolved, focused on mysterious disappearances, paranormal events, and unsolved crimes. Over 2 years he had built a small but devoted fanbase who eagerly tuned in every week. For his latest episode, however, Ryan wanted to dive into something truly obscure, something that would get people talking. He found his subject through a forum post titled, "The Vanished Voices, The Curse of Station 84. The post detailed an old pirate radio station from the 1980s called Station 84. According to legend, anyone who tuned in at midnight would hear unsettling broadcasts, static-filled music, chilling whispers, and occasionally desperate cries for help. The station had stopped transmitting decades ago, but its ghostly reputation lived on. Ryan was hooked. Ryan began his research with an intensity he hadn't felt in years. He scoured old forums, digital archives, and obscure message boards, piecing together the station's dark history. According to reports, several people who had allegedly listened to Station 84 had gone missing shortly afterward. Others claimed to have seen unsettling shadows in their homes after tuning in. Despite the legends, Ryan struggled to find concrete proof of the station's existence. But then an email arrived in his inbox. The subject line read, "I can help you find it." The email was from someone named Spectre 84. It was short. "If you want Station 84, tune your ham radio to frequency 128.7 at 12 a.m. tonight. Record everything. But be careful, what you hear can follow you." Ryan's curiosity eclipsed his better judgment. That night, Ryan set up his makeshift recording station in his home studio. He dusted off an old ham radio he'd bought years ago for a previous episode but had never used. With the frequency dialed to 128.7, he hit record on his equipment and waited. Midnight struck. At first there was only static. Then faintly he heard it, a low hum, almost musical. The sound grew louder, morphing into a haunting melody interwoven with distorted voices. The whispers were faint but distinct, as though they were speaking directly into his ears. "Help me," one voice whimpered. "Turn it off," another hissed, barely audible but commanding. Ryan's heart raced, but he couldn't look away from the equipment. The static returned, punctuated by an ear-splitting screech that made him yank off his headphones. When he looked at his recording software, the audio levels were spiking erratically. The broadcast ended as suddenly as it had begun. The following morning, Ryan listened to the recording, noting every detail. The voices were clearer than he had realized in real time. One in particular caught his attention, a frantic plea. "They're coming for you?" Ryan brushed it off as a hoax or someone's idea of a prank. Still, he couldn't shake the chill that lingered after hearing the broadcast. He edited the episode, narrating his experience and including clips from the eerie recording. By the time he uploaded the podcast that evening, he felt drained but satisfied. This would be his most popular episode yet. It was. The next morning, his email was flooded with messages. "Your latest episode is chilling. Is it real? I heard whispers in my house after listening to this. Please tell me it's fake. Dude, I heard something last night that wasn't from the podcast. What did you unleash?" Ryan was used to dramatic reactions from listeners, but something felt different this time. He shrugged it off as overactive imaginations. That is, until he noticed something strange. His equipment had been tampered with. The ham radio, which he had powered down after the broadcast, was humming softly, the frequency dial stuck on 128.7. His microphone, normally still on its stand, was lying on the floor as if it had been pushed over. And then there was the shadow. At first, he thought it was a trick of the light, a dark figure standing in the far corner of his studio. But when he turned to face it, it was gone. Over the next few days, the strange occurrences escalated. Ryan heard faint whispers at night, too soft to make out but undeniably present. Objects in his apartment seemed to move on their own, a pen rolling off his desk, a chair rocking gently. Sleep became elusive as the whispers grew louder, more insistent. He replayed the recording from that night on Station 84, trying to decipher the hidden messages. The voices, now crystal clear, repeated phrases like "turn it off" and "it's too late." On the fourth night, The whispers weren't confined to his recordings. They were in his room. Help us? Desperate for answers, Ryan emailed Spectre 84, demanding an explanation. The reply was swift but cryptic. You shouldn't have broadcasted it. The voices are anchors. They need listeners to escape. You gave them an audience. They won't stop until they're free. Panic set in as Ryan connected the dots. By sharing his podcast, he hadn't just invited the haunting into his own life. He had spread it to thousands of listeners. That night, the voices grew unbearable. They screamed, they wept, they laughed, a cacophony of torment that drove Ryan to the brink of madness. He smashed the ham radio, tore apart his recording equipment, and even tried deleting the episode. It didn't help. Ryan's podcast vanished after that, his accounts deactivated and his apartment left abandoned. Rumors circulated among fans, some claiming to have heard Ryan's voice in distorted static during midnight radio broadcasts. Others swore they saw him, emaciated, wild-eyed, wandering aimlessly on the outskirts of town. As for those who listened to his final episode, many reported hearing whispers in the dead of night, objects shifting inexplicably, and shadows that didn't belong. The lost voices of Station 84 had found new homes,